All right. What is going on, good folks? I'm gonna go ahead and get this conversation started. It came to my attention right before I got on here that I got a notice from Instagram saying that my post on Instagram was reported for condoning violence. Now, mind you, it's the one that probably led you over to this live stream, but I find it to be very, very ironic. Okay, so unfortunately, today we had another young entertainer that was killed, and some people aren't up on music like other people and things of that nature. So I'm going to bring up photo of the young man. Let you guys, I'm not going to play any of the videos just because I think they're kind of pointless at this point. But I do want to show you who he was. Just let me get this up here for you. Let me present this. Okay, great. Let me see. Chrome tab. Now let's go to this one. All right, so now I'll go ahead and make this one full screen layout for a second. All right, here's the young man. Okay, his name is Takeoff. Now, if you're not familiar, this young man was part of a group called the Migos, who have recently split up for whatever reason. I'm not hip to the reason why they split up, but a very, very successful and influential group. They made countless hits. They've toured the world, millions of fans, made millions of dollars, and seemingly very successful, a very successful young act. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that and go back over here. Now, here is the importance of this conversation. This is not a conversation, I want to warn you, that is simply going to lead back to the confirmation of what some people say about the Black community or anything like that. It's not absolutely going to be one of those, but it is going to be a conversation that is needed in a lot of ways. So 2 things can be true. 3 things can be true. Hell, 10 things can be true at one time. And do we have an issue or concerns, whether you feel they are or not? Are there concerns with law enforcement? Absolutely. Are there concerns with systematic issues? Absolutely. Are people being unfairly treated and or killed at the hands of the government? Absolutely. These things are true. There is no denying them. Now, you as an individual might not feel like you're directly impacted, or you as an individual might say, well, I don't think it's as bad as you make it out to be. However, that does not aid when someone is being a victim of a governmental abuse. That does not aid them when you say, well, I don't understand where you're coming from. Period. It doesn't help, doesn't make sense to them. And if you tune them out, they're going to tune you out. And that's how we have a lot of divide. However, one thing that we also have to acknowledge is that there is an absolute crisis that is also occurring simultaneously with these other issues. And in words, our young men in particular don't value life. They don't value life. And I've talked about this from more of a programming standpoint. When the urban ghettos were first built, when they were first constructed, when they understood back in the 60s and 70s, these are where we're going to be corralled at. And you toss in things like welfare, and then you give us, the drug epidemic and, all those different things. And if you don't know, yes, crack cocaine was cocaine anyway, was brought into this country by the United States government in droves. And the United States government help with the education of how to make crack cocaine, where they can push that to poor communities while cocaine stay with the affluential, right? That's why you saw powder cocaine in Hollywood, for the porn stars and the actresses and the musicians and things like that. But the lonely blacks got crack cocaine. So did they understand from a structural standpoint how these things will be set up? Absolutely. If I put a lot of people in one area, limit their resources, they're eventually going to have issues, right? Poverty breeds violence. I don't care where you put people, and I don't care what kind of people they are. If you put a whole lot of poor people in one spot, you're going to have more violence. That's just how it's going to work. Yet, there's understanding systemic structure, and then there's also realizing and accepting your personal accountability and responsibility. Because once you can vocalize, right, what the problem is, you've now acknowledged it. Once you've acknowledged it, you can no longer use it for an excuse. It is not an excuse anymore. If I say, you know what, man, my family always taught me to punch you in the face just because you lived across the street in an odd number house. And I talked to you, and then we realized that my family just taught me how to do this unfairly. And if I still punch you, I've acknowledged the fact that I shouldn't be doing this. I was mistaught, I was misguided, but I still decided to punch you. I have to take accountability and responsibility for myself. So in this situation, that's exactly what we have. So let me make this very clear. As a person who has been doing community work for decades now, as an individual that grew up in these environments, as an individual that is a fan of hip hop music from way back when it used to be a total different beast, as an individual that loves my culture, that loves my community, I can say this. One of the biggest, not the isolated issue, but one of the biggest issues that we have is each other. Because we don't have any kind of forethought. We don't look into the future. Case in point, you decide to kill a multi-millionaire over what? In this case, it was reported he was killed over a disagreement at a dice game. There is also some other video that has recently surfaced where they're having an argument, something about basketball, but the basketball argument could have stemmed from the dice game, so forth and so on. So if this young multi-millionaire is in a position to succeed in life, if he's in a position to put his children through college, his family members out of poverty, give them businesses, invest in other businesses, take care of children, give back to his community, share education and information, pay for college scholarships, whatever he would have decided to do or was currently doing with his life, you decided to erase all those opportunities for other Black people because he hurt your feelings, because you are, let's just call it emotionally reckless. You're unintelligent when it comes to your emotions, and how dare somebody disrespect you, right? And because this guy is a multi-millionaire, and then he still has the nerves to disrespect you or be a part of a group that is casting disrespect upon you, the only way that you know how to gain respect is through violence. Because you have to prove that you're a real one. You got to prove that you're a real, you know what I mean? You got to prove that. And the only way that you've been taught to prove that is through violence. Because nobody ever taught you way back when you were 10 years old, nobody ever taught you how to resolve things with your words. Nobody ever taught you how can you look at someone who comes from the same situation as you and have no empathy for them? How can you? Why? Because you crave respect, because you dare not be disrespected. You know what? That's a problem. Because a lot of young Black men have only been taught that the way that they solve issues is through violence. That's why you're yelling all the time. That's why when you finally do get your hands on a gun, unfortunately for a lot of our young Black men, it is not simply getting your hands on a gun and getting the proper education that goes along with it. It is getting your hands on a gun, and the first thing you think about is killing someone that looks just like you. When that 16, 17-year-old boy gets a gun in his hands, he is not thinking about slavery. He is not thinking about anything to deal with this. Okay? He's not. He is not. He's not understanding why the gun is important. He's not understanding the responsibility that comes along with the firearm. He's not understanding the historical facts about racism when it comes to gun control. He's not thinking about any of those things. He's thinking about being disrespected, and what he's going to do to the ops, which is short for opposition, what he's going to do to the ops when given an opportunity. So now nobody's taught him how to, hell, we don't even teach him how to box anymore. Nobody's teaching him how to box. Nobody's teaching him how to de-escalate from situations. Nobody wants to have the conversation about, hey, man, why don't you think about this? Why won't you, when you get upset, why don't you start processing things and walk away as you are processing? Because until you learn how to control your emotions, become emotionally intelligent, you're always going to resort to being out of control, and it's going to lead to chaotic situations. You're going to pay a penalty, and you're probably going to cost somebody else something that they shouldn't have to pay. So while we're working on that, why don't you just do me a favor and walk away from those situations while we reprogram you and how you interact in society? And one thing that I really want you to understand is that when you're dealing with people that come from situations like you, both of you should have empathy and understanding for each other. You should understand that you've only been taught violence, just like he's only been taught violence. So we need to avoid that at all costs, right? People don't want to have that conversation, right? Here's the problem. A lot of individuals are, let me get this thing down here, brainwashed. It is challenging the myth of Black inferiority. And if you understood how you were taught to be inferior, you would understand why it's important that you give your brother some damn room to breathe. But you don't give him room to breathe. You'll be the same person on social media to share the "I can't breathe" shirt from Eric Gardner, but then you'll be the first idiot to deny another brother of his right to breathe. You didn't do it with a chokehold, you did it with a bullet. You want to keep trying to tell me and prove to me just how much of a disgusting, despicable human being Chauvin is for slowly depriving George Floyd of his life? You want to share all the hashtags about that? But then, over a disagreement, words, I wouldn't even care if a fist got thrown, you decide to deprive another youthful leader of his life. And then you want to have a conversation of what's wrong with Black America. And we can do both. There are many different things that are wrong, but the one thing that you can fix immediately is your, you almost made me curse on her. I'm trying to be nice and get my videos taken down before we even get started on this channel. One thing you can do is control you. You want to fix a neighborhood? Start with your house. So why don't you have more empathy? When you look at PNB Rock, that was a Black man that called his son to rob and kill another Black man over jewelry while he was trying to eat chicken and waffles with his young lady. So you weren't thinking about systemic oppression. You weren't thinking about the ills of the government. You weren't thinking about Derek Chauvin. You weren't thinking about George Floyd. You weren't thinking about Mark Zimmerman, whatever that boy name is. You weren't thinking about Trayvon Martin. You weren't thinking about Breonna Taylor, Atiana Jefferson. You weren't thinking about any of those things. Botham Jean, you weren't concerned with any of those things. What you were concerned with was killing that Black man, depriving him of his belongings that he worked for you can do what? Go buy a new pair of clothes, get some jeans, put the chain on yourself. And then you want to convince me that it's the white man that is causing you to kill each other when you are killing each other over shit that the white man created. Think about that. Think about that. And I'm going to tell you right now, and there are a lot of people that are really spun up on history that will argue this point, and it's fine. What I'm going to do is tell you something right now, and I'm sticking and standing by it. There is absolutely a difference between a black man and an N-word. There's an absolute difference. If you kill other black people, and I'm not giving you a free pass just to go kill anybody, but most of y'all that just kill black folks target black people. You would dare never hurt anybody else for the majority of y'all. Then yeah, you'll be a real N-word. Absolutely, you can have that title. Absolutely, you can have that title. Because I don't want to be associated with people that will look at what we are trying to achieve in the world. No longer can you complain about ignorance of the issues. Everybody, no matter how poor they pretend to be, is walking around with one of these damn supercomputers in their hand. Everybody has one. Information is contained on here. You might choose to watch silly TikTok videos and the latest twerk competition, but there is plenty of information that are on these devices that can educate you. No longer is it an excuse that I don't have a way of knowing. You want to follow Baller Alert, Hollywood Unlocked, The Breakfast Club, and all these other big social media platforms. But as soon as somebody like myself and others are trying to come give you true knowledge and information about self, that ain't sexy enough. So when we're trying to save life, it ain't sexy. But every single fucking repost about somebody dying is all of a sudden alluring. So we can't save a rapper in advance, but we can pray for him in death. And as a black man who consumes the music, if that's your thing, you're worse. You want to know why? Why they continuously put themselves in situations to prove that they real? Because you will stop buying the music if they do. You're not buying the albums that's talking about progression. J. Cole is a unique situation. So is Kendrick Lamar. But those young brothers are rapping about positivity and growth. But they ain't selling like death. So the moment that these rappers try to pull themselves away, a 28-year-old rapper, for the most part, can't pull himself away and say, look, y'all, I'm going to start rapping about economic empowerment. I'm going to start rapping about loving our women and building families, because he will lose his audience overnight. But then that same damn audience, when he's out keeping it real for them, is going to be the same damn audience that can do nothing but say prayers. And you know what else? You know what else is despicable? Not only do you just say prayers, you'll forget about them in a couple of weeks. You'll absolutely forget about them. But if you were standing there like a lot of those people were, you know what you will do? Instead of trying to do things to save his life, you'll record his death. There were more people worried about having the first post out about that young man's death. And no matter how gory it was, they were more concerned about having the first post released than they were about saving his life. You want to talk to me about black empowerment? How come nobody around that damn place knew anything about medical aid? How come nobody had medical training? Because education is unsexy. It's unsexy. But we'll always complain about how we need a leg up, how we need to be taught. You are being taught. You aren't listening. You are being educated. You are being willfully ignorant. There are post after post after conference after conference, speech after speech, to where we are trying to give you information. We are exposing you to the fails of the system, educating you on how you've been set up. Introduce the responsible way to have a gun in your hand and understanding what the gun is really for. But instead of you using a gun to fight for your freedom, you kill your brother. And then it's people like me in the rooms that you never get into that have to defend you, that have to speak on the issues. It's crazy to think that the one thing that the extreme vile, despicable human beings used to use to keep us under control, which is one of these things hanging up behind me, right there, then now we turn and use that same thing to eliminate ourselves because you can't control it, because you a real one. You took this young man for what? And even if he wasn't the intended target, why would you shoot at a group of people anyway? You want to know why? Because most of you are cowards. For far too long, the OGs on the block have taught you that, you get that thumper, you get that strap, and you handle your business. You ain't handling nobody business, man. There are plenty of interviews with actual Klan members that say, why would the Klan have to go around killing black boys? They kill themselves now. We ain't got to do that part of it. Why would they need to? Why would they need to? Then we want to come up with conspiracy theories. Oh, man, it was really the government that was involved in killing a Nipsey because he was speaking the truth about vaccinations and medicine over in the United States. And so the government want him taken out. Miss me with the bull. I don't care nothing about that, because at the end of the day, it was another black man that killed him. So even if he was paid off, bribed by whomever, whether it was the dudes from the clique or the federal government, nobody should have been able to give that black man enough money in the world, enough opportunity in the world for him to go kill Nipsey Hussle. But he did it anyway. He did it anyway. Nipsey Hussle, mind you, who owned businesses in his neighborhood, was giving back to his community, and not just giving back like, here, take this $100 and go on about your business, educating people, giving them employment, educating them about how to get around the music industry, how to retain ownership, patents, things that matter, things that will build generational wealth. Talked them about investment, was talking about insurance. The gangster rap persona be damned. That young man was giving out information, but we killed him, right? There should be no reason he's dead. And he was back in his old neighborhood trying to do right. He got killed on the same block that made him. It is absolutely despicable to not do better. We are not sitting in ignorance anymore where we don't know. We know. We are just choosing not to listen. And I'm going to tell you who some of the most despicable human beings on planet Earth are. The so-called OGs that are still spreading this poison. The so-called OGs that are bragging about having 12 and 13-year-olds that'll go kill you for them. Because that's in the music too. 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds that I can send to come kill you. So what are we doing with that young man's life? We're setting him up for a life of failure. And then he becomes one of the idiots that do things like we've seen with Takeoff. There's an absolute better way to handle yourself. You think I don't fit? I've had to have a lot of self-reflecting to think about how I proceed with reaching out to my community when it's not over media. And as much as I like going into the neighborhoods, as much as I like reaching and talking to people firsthand, there becomes a point to where I have to think and consider about what I am putting myself up against because I still have a family to take care of. So part of my resolution of that was investing in buying 40 acres of land to be able to bring the community out to me and to be able to introduce them to education, reading and writing skills, job skills, financial education, all these type of things, while at the same time having a professional firearms training company and others on site to give them proper education about guns, while the rest of America comes in and does whatever they want to do too. If you're white and you need to come in and learn how to read and write, good for you. Come on in. You're welcome in class too. If you're black, white, Asian, whatever, you want to go do the educational programs or you're going to sign up for a gun class, great. This land is for everyone. But it started with the idea that I can help my people. Because I need to be able to bring them out of those environments. Because they are being fed the poison by these so-called OGs that's still telling them you need to be a real one. And a definition of that is killing somebody that looks just like you. Crime is proximity. Sure it is. Absolutely. That is a fact. Crime is proximity. And there is crime that's going to happen because you're not going to fix everybody. And then there are conflicts that occur that are absolutely avoidable. And what I have to think about is no matter what I try to do, no matter how many people I've saved, no matter how many magazines put me in their articles, Time could put me on the cover 5 more times. It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter that I helped 100 dads be better fathers. It wouldn't matter that I survived what I survived. It wouldn't matter that I feed poor families. It wouldn't matter that I stand up every fucking time I can and speak about the government and their control with gun control and why it's evil and defeating it and fighting for other civil rights and how we need to ratify the 13th Amendment. None of that matters. None of that matters. No matter how much of an example I am of a kid that comes from nothing to having a nice home, 2 wonderful children, a wife, and I'm a flawed person, but damn it, I'll make it. Right? How you can be free from being, tied to one political party or the other, how being intelligent is okay, how all these things, how I come from the slums and nothing, but achieved graduate level in school and went from, being in school systems that, hell, I was smarter than a lot of the teachers, but was able to make it through. Had to juggle gangs, did my dirt, been there, done that. I speak the language. I know it. But I can come back with all that love and all that education, and y'all will kill me too. That's the sad part. You'll take me out too. Because I offended you. Because I said something you didn't like. You'll take me out too. I'll be a hashtag for a couple of weeks, and that'll be it. But my kids won't have their dad. My wife won't have a husband. She'll be off with some other man somewhere. My kids will be getting their information and guidance from another man or the world or whatever, because you will deprive those young Black children of their father and the Black community of a leader because you disagree with something he said and he hurts your damn feelings. There are so many people that enjoy when these kind of events happen because it's confirmation bias for them, right? They get to say, look, another one bites the dust. One of these reckless Negroes killed another Negro, old gangster rapper with his dreadlocks and his big old chains on. Pop Smoke Another upcoming East Coast rapper killed by what, a 15-year-old? Killed by a 15-year-old. Why? Because a 15-year-old wanted his chain. It's a black kid. Young Dolph killed in Memphis, Tennessee this year, his hometown, in his neighborhood. Why? Somebody had some beef with him. This ain't the hip hop police coming to kill these boys. Mm-mm. These ain't Klan members. Nah. These ain't Nazis. Nah. These black people. You can either build or you can destroy. And it seems like a lot of people are choosing destruction. Hence the reason why. And then I'll transfer rather into another part of this conversation. For everybody out there, because I said this was going to be about tips too. Here's a tip for you. I'm going to show you guys a text message. Okay. So bear with me while I bring it up on the screen. I do apologize for any disruptions, but I do want to show this to you because I think it's very important. I'm going to leave it right here up on the screen, and let's see if I can go back to this app and get this pulled up for you guys. No, let's see if I can do this one instead. Okay, we're going to present. I'm going to share the screen. Okay. And then we're going to use a Chrome tab, and we're going to go here. Now, let me make sure that that is showing. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Here we go. Share. Okay. Now you guys should be able to see what's on that screen there. This was from Saturday, this past Saturday. And this is to Devin Perkins, Mr. Trenchwork Chronicles. And the blue is me. So this up here is me. And I was invited to an event. I already wasn't feeling good, but I was invited to an event. I was supposed to go around 10 p.m. And you can see me say, nah, I ain't going. At 9:45 p.m., he responds, why? And look at my message back to him. Vibes. Just felt like bad shit was going to happen. He said, got you. You see that? That was just from this past Saturday. We have to get to the part where we understand something, man. Let me tell you. You got to just listen to your intuition. So one, how do you avoid these situations? Stop going to certain places. If you get a vibe, nope. I'm telling you right now, I'm what am I? Damn, how old am I? 42, 43. I think I'm 43. All right. I am not going, nor am I entertaining going to anywhere where there's going to be riffraff. Often some of my friends call me old, and I don't think I'm old. I just think I avoid certain things. So I'll go to a cigar lounge. You want to invite me out to a cigar lounge? Absolutely. Because cigar lounges normally bring a different type of environment, a different type of person in them, right? I'll go to a cigar lounge and I'll still watch my surroundings and be careful and things like that. But sure, I'll go. I'm not going to a nightclub. I'm not. There's nothing there that's going to benefit me. I'm not looking for a woman. I'm not looking for, to get on the dance floor and shake a tail feather with a young hot thing. Doing that. But what I do understand is that there are going to be a lot of young men that come there. Although they could be doing all the aforementioned, they could absolutely be chasing women. They much rather see if they can have a problem with me. That's just how it works. Jay-Z put that in the song. He said, y'all go to clubs to ice grill. I go to club for nice girls. I'm like, why are you in here? Why did you come out here looking for a conflict with a man with all these beautiful women running around? Right? Security is normally at these places is normally, let's just say unprofessional. Right? They wear all black as a way to intimidate you. You know, I've seen some of them carry guns in the most irresponsible manner. But what are they doing? They are trying to intimidate people. What do people do when they feel like they're being intimidated? They push back. So when the dude in the club is thrown out by you, he has to go to his car. No, you got a gun. He going to his car to get a gun. He want to shoot up the club. Right? If I happen to be having a polite conversation with the young lady at the bar, I'm just buying my drink, she buying her drink, and then all of a sudden you feel away because that's your lady, and you don't know how to walk up and just interject yourself into the conversation. Then all of a sudden you pushing on me, asking me what I don't know. Absolutely not. You know what I do? I will, if I decide to have a drink, I don't drink that much anymore. That thanks to the, that's part of the weight loss. But if I decide to have a drink or a cigar, I will sit outside. I work hard enough where I don't have one balcony, I have two. I'll choose one of those damn balconies. I will sit out there and I will go on Instagram Live and talk to my peoples instead of being in a club. I will take a nice short walk to a family member's house and we'll sit out on their balcony. Their balcony is bigger than both of mine. And we'll sit out there and we'll sit around a fire and we'll have conversations about pop culture, education, whatever. We'll just talk. We'll just talk. My friends come in town. I'm like, hey, you want to go grab a nice dinner from a place? Take you to see these places. And if we're going to do anything downtown or whatever, let's make sure we do it at reasonable hours. So I'm telling you all that to say, stop putting yourself in situations. Don't go to where you think the trouble is going to be. Are we going to be able to avoid trouble, guys? No, it's going to find you. But there is a big difference between being stung by a bee sitting on your porch and you going to mess with the hornet's nest. There's just a big difference. You can't think that you're going to be immune to the problems that certain environments bring. So I'm not. As a matter of fact, if I'm around a bunch of normally calm, mature men and they start acting irrational amongst each other, I leave. I've had to tell people that, I don't know, I guess you can say push my buttons. I've had to tell them after almost losing my temper a couple of times over the last few years, like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to deal with you in this way anymore. They're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm not. Because, the situation you put me in almost made me expose a side of me that I don't like. So I'm not going to ever cross into this world with you again. And the next time I think that you're even opening that door, that I think that you're even saying, hey, come over here, I will forget that I ever knew you. I will disown you. And it won't be violent. I'm not going to post it on social media. I'm not going to yell it to everyone. I'm just going to stop dealing with you. Because I'm emotionally mature enough to understand when a situation does not benefit me, when a person does not benefit me. Because I have nothing to prove. That's the next point. A lot of you feel like you have too much to prove. Doesn't matter what color you are. You feel like you got to prove things to people. I will prove to you that I'm tough. I will prove to you that I can do this. Let me make something very clear to you. All of us are capable of horrendous things. Everyone is. Everyone is. People have been killing other people since the dawn of time. They've been burning their homes, taking their families. They've been doing horrendous things to each other since the dawn of time. So I don't find it amusing when people say, I am capable of doing this. Okay, great. All right, dude, whatever. The thing that's behind me on that side over there, I got more of those than I can count, ammo to feed them all. And I don't consider myself tough. And I'm actually skilled and trained with them. Like, really. And I don't consider myself tough at all. I don't walk around looking for reasons to prove. I'll say this to you guys, and I want you to understand me. And I want you to really, really let this sink in. You have come from a place in your life, you as an individual, you've come from a place that had challenges, right? Some of us more than others. And all of our challenges have been different. You could have been dealing with an alcoholic father that beat your mother, maybe an alcoholic mother that beat your father, maybe alcoholic parents that beat you. You could have dealt with molestation and violations. You could have grew up in extreme poverty, whether that be the hood or the trailer park. You could have went through different mental challenges. There are all kind of things that we've all went through in our past, and some of those made us feel like we had to prove who we are. We had to puff up our chest, and we had to do things, some for survival, but some just to prove who we are. And that became a part of you. This is how I validate who I am through these actions. And what I'm here to tell you is that should be a fainting memory. You don't have to forget the challenges you went through. You don't have to forget where you came from. I think that's pretty dangerous. But you don't have to be who you were to prove who you are. So remember this. If you allow someone to cause you to act violent, get you out of character, get you to be the old you, you aren't proving to them who you are. You're proving to them who you aren't. You never evolved. You never changed. It just took for me to crack the code, and you go right back to being that same fool you were 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 6 months ago, 10 years ago. You go right back to being that same fool. Because you haven't changed at all. You just hid it real good. Another thing, surround yourself with individuals that will hold you accountable. For my young men out there, and I know a lot of young guys follow this page or follow me in general. When it comes to you, that piece of advice, I want you to think about your future. I want you to think about your future, hell, just 6 months into your future. And if you are standing next to an individual that show day one, ace boom coon, but they do not complement that vision, then you need to walk away from them. It might hurt your feelings, it might hurt your heart, but you need to walk away from them. A lot of my friends decided to stick with the street life. A lot of my friends refused to grow up. There are a couple of them, and I've been gone from my neighborhood for, over 20 years. I can hit that same block, and they sitting on the same block. Some of them coked out, doped out, nose runny. You know what I mean? Some of them still just trying to hustle. Some of them holding up signs now, hey, yo, help me out, I'm hungry. But these were the gangsters. These were the G's. And a lot of them dead. But I had to realize at an early age that I need to separate myself from you. One, I can't help people if I'm stuck in the mud with them. And I got called every name that there was. Every name that there was, I got called. Because their job was to keep me in line with their goals, which were nothing. All right? I was a big dude, man. And I like to fight. Can you imagine how an OG in the hood could use me? And I'm naturally good with guns. Can you imagine? So I got this young boy with no daddy, with a young mama that like conflict, sick in the head, and like guns. Oh, shit. Man, I can use him. And you wind up becoming some nobody's pawn. Or you wind up becoming somebody that's trying to keep it so real with your homeboy that you follow the path that he has set for his life and lose sight of your own. In other situations, you just want to hang around for you can prove that you still with the crew. You don't speak as intelligent as you're capable of because you want to prove that you're down. So you still roll with the boys because you're scared of losing that image of who you are to them because their validation means everything to you. And then you be the one to catch the bullet that was meant for them. When I tell you that we should be building communities and we should be prospering, I'm sorry, I am not joking. That's what we should be focused on. But why would you want to see a young black man be successful and make millions of dollars and tour the world and, do wonderful, great things when you can just kill him? Because his success is not more important than your hood validation of being a real one. Because ain't nobody gonna disrespect me because I take their top off. Now, as soon as you get to prison, take it from me. If nobody's ever been involved in law enforcement in any type of way, as soon as you get to county, they're gonna prove to you just how tough you ain't. Because now the big boys is in there. If you the man in them streets, they got to make you be a little bitch to them because they got something to prove too. But then you want to talk to me about what the white man is doing. Let's get this right. You kill a black man because you cannot control your emotions. You're emotionally unintelligent. You've never taken time to think about how you can de-escalate, walk away, calm down. You didn't look up any of the videos. You haven't absorbed any of the content. You didn't even think about giving this young man mercy. You ignored all the education and true information around firearms and black gun ownership in this country, and why it's important, why you really should be uniting with the gun in a totally different fashion, right? Okay, you ignore that. You ignore all the information and good, heartfelt social media posts and education and information that is going out to you to tell you to be a better person and go and build yourself and don't worry about okay, you ignore that. You complain about the white man and what the white man is doing, how the white man is doing this, and the white man system is tearing us down, blah, blah, blah. And the main individuals that are saying that have never even read a book. Okay. So when you get to the white man, let me get this right. You got a gun that is more than likely built by a white organization. Most gun companies are white owned. Okay. You buy a gun that was built by a white person. Which is nothing's wrong with that. I would love to see some black gun manufacturers like Civilian Force Arms come back into the ballpark. But we working on. We do have a couple of small manufacturers, so I won't get to trying to name them all because I will forget. But you get what I'm saying. All the big boys, rather, are white-owned companies. It's just a fact. It's not a bad thing. It's just a fact. So you get the gun. Now you can take that gun and you can be empowered with that gun. You can understand what freedom is with that gun. You can understand the history behind you holding it in your hand. But no. We don't get there. You can protect the family with it. You can keep your loved ones safe. Okay, that's not sexy. All right, cool. So then you kill a multimillionaire who happens to be another black man. You kill him. His career is gone. The resources he could have obtained are gone. So his ability to fight back against the system with money, which is, ask anybody, if you want to have any kind of war, one of the first things you need is money. So now he doesn't have those dividends to go and make an impact or change. Then you get put into a system. More than likely, you'll wind up in a federally ran facility or even a private owned facility that is once again owned by rich old white men. Half of y'all are killing each other over blocks that your mama don't own, a white man own. Do you see where I'm going with that? You're killing each other over disrespect because you never learned how to respect yourself. You can disrespect me. Anybody can. You can say what you want to say. I can't stop that. I can't. On social media, sure, I could block you, but I can't stop me walking down the street and somebody saying something very disrespectful to me. There's nothing I can do about that. There's absolutely nothing I can do about it. What I am confident about is who I am. So I don't have to brag about what I've done. I'm so focused on who I am and who I want to become. Killing you and risking that? You ain't even that important. No. I got a son graduating from high school in a year and a half. My daddy wasn't at my graduation. Hell, I didn't even know where he was at. Right. But my son is going to see his dad sitting at his high school graduation. And I'm going to jump up and I'm going to yell. And then 2 weeks after his high school graduation, or within a month, I'm going to be walking them down to the recruitment center, wherever they get on the bus at, because my son's going to be an airman. He wants to go to the Air Force. That's all he talks about. My job as a father is to get him there. So my son will be off in the Air Force. And then I get to watch my beautiful little girl, who is set right now as we speak to graduate high school 1 month after she turns 16 years old. And we're trying to get that down to 15. She's a little brainiac. So I'm trying to complement her growth for I can see my baby girl graduate college with a graduate degree by the age of 20 on scholarships with no student loan debt. That's what I'm trying to see. You think I got time to be arguing and bickering with you? I don't. I don't. I advise everybody to focus on themselves and stop worrying about the bullshit in the streets. Young black men, keep yourself separate from shit that don't make no sense. And old white men can take the same advice. Stop going places where you know there is problems. I don't go places that are drama filled. Most people that hang out with me will tell you, I'll be like, look, man, crack your garage door. We can sit in the garage and have some cigars, put a couple guns around us. I'm chilling. You know why? Because of when you've seen enough BS, when you've been through enough BS, you crave peace. That's all you want is some peace. I don't want conflict. I don't want problems. I prefer peace. You cannot, I cannot fix the world. What you can do is fix yourself. I don't agree with telling young black men like they do in our communities to put the guns down. I don't, because that's an anti-gun message. What I will say is put gun ownership on hold until you get your mind right. That way you don't go out killing people that don't need to be killed. You can't kill everybody that disrespects you. You can't. Disrespect. And if you truly respected yourself, it'd be so hard for somebody to diss it to a level to where you will be impacted. How you gonna disrespect me, man? I come from nothing, baby. I come from nothing. You could talk all the shit about me you want to talk. Say what you want to say. However you want to say it. I ain't supposed to be here. So however I'm living my life, I'm cool with it. I'm confident in me, Kevin Dixie. I ain't gotta worry about you and what you say and how you say it. You say what you want to say, man. But the problem is you haven't been taught how to value yourself. You haven't been taught how to appreciate yourself. You haven't been taught these things that will help you achieve sustainability in life. These things haven't been forwarded to you. You haven't picked these things up. So by not picking those things up, we found ourselves in a situation where everybody's easily offended. Everybody feels they're easily disrespected, and everybody has to do something about it, even if it means that somebody else has to die in the process. So you can do what? Prove you a real one? The fact of the matter is, I have to be more concerned about a group of young black men walking around me before I have to be concerned about a group of cops walking down the street. And that's just a damn fact. Does it mean that the cops are any less dangerous? Absolutely not. But does it mean that those young men aren't? Nope. And to you parents out there that are not giving it your all. Now, if you're giving it your all, you gave it your all. But you know who the hell I'm talking to. If you're not giving it your all, let me advise you of something. These young men that you are putting out into the world, and hell, a lot of these young women too, that you are putting out into the world, that you refuse to go to the parent-teacher conferences, you refuse to let anybody correct them. You're yelling at the teachers when they say something. The child curses the teacher out. The teacher suspends them. The mom comes to the school and curses out the teacher. Right? To those type of parents, to the parents that refuse to get your children in line, to the parents that refuse to really put your foot down and invest in your children and get them to be right, to the parents that make excuses, have been making excuses for that child at 6 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old, and at 18 years old, you are still making excuses. You give them no guidance. You give them no sense of consequence. Let me explain something to you. Do not get mad at the universe when we handle them. Don't come crying when a grown man has to do something unfavorable to your child. Because everybody's not going to be a victim. I would highly advise to all the parents out there, get your children in line. Call all the backup you got to call. Call all the uncles, all the cousins. Start dating men. Stop worrying about if he got more than 6 inches to reach into your uterus. Stop worrying about that shit. Why don't you worry about finding somebody that can actually impart some education and information and build a strong family? How about we start worrying about that? How about that? How about we start fixing the real issues that are fixable, and you can start with yourself? I digress because that's another conversation. I'm going to take a moment because I've been going 58 minutes now. I'm going to take a moment, look at some of the comments. I'm going to respond to favorable comments, and then I'm going to go have Drew Estates Liga number 9 cigar while I sip on my coffee. Okay, because man, let me read some of these comments. Okay. Let's see. And what's up to everyone? Sorry, I forgot to say hi. If I did, I apologize. This is a quote. Yeah, I can't deny this one. This is from Tupac. They tell me it's the white man I should fear when it's my own kind doing all the killing here. Now, look, that's why I mean the two things can be true. And it's sad, especially because we know better, man. That's what hurts. We know better. It's it is. It's pretty difficult to get over being dead. Oh, yep, I like this one. Gunmetal guy says a person can get over their emotions. It's pretty difficult to get over being dead. That's a good one. That's a good one. This is another reason why, even when it comes to the gun community, while a lot of my content isn't murder, death, kill, and I don't get into the habit of saying things like I would do this and do that. I mean, because we all come from different places. Frankly, I think a lot of the guys that continuously do that ain't never seen a day of action in their damn life. Because most of the individuals that have seen action, whether it be domestically or internationally, are normally a little bit more reserved about how they share that kind of information, right? So because I'm trying to get people to understand that we seriously take these kind of measures only when you're at a point of no other choice. And if you didn't know, that's what the NOC stands for, no other choice, right? You need to exhaust all options. Kendall, I appreciate that. And I know a lot of what I talked about tonight, because let's just face facts, a lot of my audience is kind of split. I got a lot of guys that will have an intimate understanding of what I'm saying in every detail, and some people that are like, man, I'm just here to listen, right? And I get that. And I appreciate everybody for tuning in. One thing I will say is that we do have to do better in the Black community. That is an absolute truth. And that starts with the individual. This whole thing about who's going to lead us. We have different leaders that are putting out different sources of information, but that all starts with the individual. Because frankly, not even the Black media wants to see this problem go away. Think about it. We have a lot of Black leaders in the community that are grassroots. You don't see them on the Breakfast Club. You won't see them on Hot 97. They won't be on Big Boy Radio, right? We won't have these type of conversations on people that are grassroots to fix the issues. What normally happens is you get somebody up there when they've amassed a certain amount of social media followers, because the situation of the producer of the show is all the followers instead of real conversation. So you got no problem having other people up there, even white people up there, speaking for Black culture, but we won't have Black guests up there that are truly doing the work in the communities to have the conversation. You'll have a white guy up to talk about taking guns from Black people, but won't have a Black guy up to talk about why Black people need them. So urban media is no more interested in fixing this solution than anybody else. Sit and blame the white man all you want. But I've had many of conversations with celebrities. I've had many of conversations with pundits. I mean, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of people. And some of the most difficult people to get into a room to have a real conversation with are people that run and operate or are the faces of Black media, normally Black people. That's just a fact. It's saying something when NRA TV will have my Aiming for the Truth program on NRA TV on the west side of St. Louis in a church, talking to inner city folks about how we fix the issues before even the local newspaper would. That's saying something. The only reason the other local news station showed up is because they saw a lot of people outside and wanted to know what was going on. So Black media is no more interested in fixing these solutions at a grassroots level than anybody else. And that's unfortunate. Because as much as people say celebrities aren't leaders, no, I disagree. I think a celebrity can absolutely be a leader. I do. I think that they can. But it doesn't mean that they are. But what will happen if the media platforms that we have some influence over actually put voices there that will resonate with the audience in a different way? But no different than the people that were taking videos and pictures of Takeoff's murder. Black media, just like those people, are more concerned with going viral than being victorious. I bid you a good night.